with us from Military Family Research Institute.
Hi, can you hear me?
We sure can.
Okay, great. Let me go ahead. Hi, let me go ahead and share my screen. Okay, can you see it? I just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, I'm actually in the same place that Deidre is, and I'm getting ready to catch a plane too, but I'm glad I have the opportunity to talk with you. And I actually attended the CVEB panel that was here at American Warrior Partnership. So Measuring Communities is actually developed by two organizations at Purdue University. One of them is the Military Research Institute that I work for, along with the Purdue Center for Regional Development. And we work to conduct research and work with different organizations, and the Purdue Center for Regional Development really works on the economics and the mapping for the data that we have. So looking at the CVEBs in terms of their focus, your focus is really to kind of identify the goals at this local level and improve the service delivery. And you work with people and places, so not only the veterans and the service members and the families that live in these communities, but also the people who serve this population to kind of help change their behaviors and their knowledge about working with veterans. So one of the things we know that it is difficult as a community organization, a community-level organization, to know what to focus on. There's so much to do. Where's our efforts best focused? And to really kind of accurately understand community characteristics that kind of shape or hinder or facilitate the efforts that you have on the ground. So we know that service members and their families are embedded in many systems within the community, whether it's the community itself, whether it's the school, the healthcare, mental health, higher education. You can't necessarily take the service member or the family and veteran out of the systems within the community that they interact. So Measuring Communities takes a look at these. We know that CVEBs really try to connect with other community stakeholders just by virtue of the collaboratives that you form. You work to improve those outcomes for veterans where they live and where they work and raise their families. And you're looking at tools. A lot of what we heard here at the AWT Symposium and the work that you do is you want tools to kind of learn about this landscape. So Measuring Communities is one of these tools. I know Deidre had mentioned MFRI. So Measuring Communities, what is this? So basically, it is a tool for learning about the military and veteran relevant characteristics of your area and geographic areas of your choosing. So we have data for every community in the country. Trends where the peaks and the valleys, those kinds of things. You can learn how your community compares to one another. So if you've got two CVEBs that are, near each other, how does our community compare to their community? How can we work together? What might be the same things that we need to address? And then map your status and your progress. So within Measuring Communities, we have 10 domains. And many of these areas are areas that CVEBs like to focus on. So whether it's behavioral health, whether it's medical, whether it's financial, housing and homelessness, those are some of the domains that CVEBs and Measuring Communities focus on. So within those 10 domains, we have indicators, and each indicator has several indicators or statistics. And they come from multiple government agencies as well as community agencies, state agencies, and they include the most recent data currently available. Although based on the data source, the data could be a year or so old. For example, we use Census Bureau, we use VA data. So right now it's 2017 data. We do add indicators regularly, and we do update them each year. So as each new data set is published, any of those indicators that rely on that data set are updated. So for example, the Census Bureau information comes out in December, and by January of that next year, or 1 month later, we have all of those indicators updated. And they deal with both veteran-related and general community characteristics, because we know even veterans with identical DD-214s, one is in Boston, one is in Mississippi, just by virtue of where they live, their experiences are going to be very, very different. So what can you do with measuring communities? You can look up and download data for your geographical area of your choosing. You can make one up. You can make custom maps and tables and graphs. We have ready-made state and county snapshots that just take 3 clicks to get the information. You can create simple indices to identify areas of concern or strength. Where are we doing really well? Where are areas that we need to focus on? And then you can also take the measuring community data and combine it with your own organizational specific data. So maybe the CVEBs have information very specific to even neighborhoods within their catchment area. So you can use our measuring community data and yours to create very customized. So what you can see on the screen right now is just one example. This was used by one of our county veteran service officers. And those yellow areas, or those yellow arrows, is information that's been on the measuring communities. The other information is information that the CVSO had. So you can see how this one example takes information both from measuring communities and their specific data to create, this happened to be for a budget hearing to allocate additional resources. Some other applications is you can identify gaps in support that are actionable at your state and local level and use those gaps to help kind of build the services in terms of what are the needs of our customers. You can use the data to kind of measure how your service area is doing as compared to state or national averages, and that might be beneficial in terms of, again, having a focus. You can use that civilian data to kind of compare how these veterans are doing as compared to their civilian counterparts, because looking at veteran data alone without sometimes putting it in context may not give you a true picture. And to answer that question, are veterans doing better or worse than their civilian counterparts? And you can also drill down further to get a more detailed picture in a particular domain, such as veteran demographics. We do have a login page. So the CVEBs have an account already, and you can see it on the screen, NAMYVA17. And so when you go into the login page at measuringcommunities.org and you look at the top right-hand corner, you go ahead and log in. It'll ask for your first name, last name, and email. Add that code, and you have access to the site. Really quickly, when you actually get to the landing page here, there are 3 ways to enter the site. So if you are focused on one particular domain in terms of you want to really know about medical care, you can enter by a single topic.
Did you get the code? I didn't get the code.
Did you get the code? I can go back.
Yes, please.
NAMYVA17. Is that better? I kind of moved the. Okay.
We got it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Okay, let's get this to advance here. Okay. So the state and county snapshot is one of the quickest ways to get data. Basically, it takes just 3 clicks. You can click the state and county snapshot, decide if you want a state snapshot or a county snapshot, click the state and county, and then you get a standardized report. So if you actually have a CVEB that covers multiple counties, then you can actually print one of these out for each county and then go from there. Okay. So that's the state and county snapshot. You can also use the tables and graphs to kind of create a customized spreadsheet. So this one actually is an example of what does the disabled veteran population look like in my county. And so you can actually compare it to neighboring counties. So this actually is just a real quick step-by-step, step 1 through 6, and you can create a table. This just happens to look at the percentage of disability for a few counties, Clay, Edwards, Richland, and Wayne. And then you create the table, and then you can combine it with additional data from another table. This is a veteran population, and then really create these specialized databases that are tailored to what's going to be important for you. And then using this information, you actually can create a visual to say, okay, so how does this all look together? Where are my disability ratings? These red areas may be areas, these red areas point to communities that may be of concern. So we have Wayne County, there's a really high percentage of 0 to 20%. But a green arrow may mean, gosh, over here in Edwards County, we don't have any veterans that are listed at 100% disability. So it can actually help you understand where some areas of concern or some areas that may not necessarily need as much attention as other areas. Okay. What we do have on our site as well is that we have an online report that provides kind of this national look at the state of military and veteran families, and actually you can download that right on the website. There is an enhanced report that has additional data, additional maps and charts and things like that, and so that can add additional dimension to the report. That is measuring communities really in a nutshell, a real brief 15-minute overview. We do have a little more advanced training. We have a recorded link that can kind of take you step by step through how to use the site. But at this point, I would welcome any questions.
I think everyone's very eager to get on the site and take a look at some of that, so I thought to ask questions without being on it, but thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kathy. Great tools for our CVEBs and for all of us to be aware of.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Yes.
Yes, Kathy, is that, and I might have missed something, this, I'm with the Loma Linda CVEB. Is that something that we could use to pull up data on our specific area, or is that something that's already been put?
So you can go in and you can look at data for your community, for your county, in all of those indicators. Most of the indicators we do have are at county level. Some are at state level. But most of the data we have is for every county in the country. So if your CVEB serves this particular county, you can pull all of that data.
Wow. Is that a costed item, or?
I'm sorry, what?
Is that a costed item? Is there a charge for that, or?
No, there's no cost to this for you to use it.
Wow. All right, thank you. Sounds great.
Who sponsors this? Who sponsors it?
Purdue. It's sponsored by Purdue, correct?
Right. We're the Military Family Research Institute at Purdue University.
Oh, okay.
That's a big plus to a community.
Yeah. Really.
And which is nice, that now we know that Purdue, as a great community contributor, is now, with the VA facilitating these, is trying to share it with the entire 149, or as we grow on. So this is great information. This is exactly what we, as the VA, are achieving to do.
Yeah, for our medical center, it's going to be very, very useful, and I appreciate access to that website. Thank you.
Right. And just one other thing is we do have, in our community support, under the community tab, we do have CVEBs mapped. So CVEBs are on here in terms of the location.
What are the databases that you're pulling this from?
We use over 30 different data sources, so everything from the Census Bureau to VA to Department of Defense. We go in for our indicator on veteran treatment courts. We actually go to each state's Department of Justice website and take a look and map the veteran treatment courts. We use data from Blue Star Families. We're working on additional agreements from the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, from TAPS, from Wounded Warrior, to help share their data and map that. So we have over 30 different data sources that we pull from.
And what's nice about this is academia doing it.
Okay, I have two questions at one time.
I'm sorry.
Jim's comment was that it's nice that it's academia doing this.
Probably a few people working on PhDs and doctorates and all that, but this is great because this is how it feeds itself back into the communities that we're serving. Thank you.
Do we have your contact information? I'm sorry. Do we have your contact information?
Yes, it's on the last slide. Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then Tony does have Tony has a copy of the slides as well, so he has my contact information.